What to do first? What to do first? All right, we got the taco here. We're all set up, able to drive right down here. Remember this? The well pad orchard, such as it is, with, I think, if we remember correctly, what was that? That was Cortland, right? I'm trying to remember what these are. There's only 4 now, not 8 trees, so I should be able to remember what they are. Cortland, Empire. Oh, I can't remember. And that one's Frostbite, though. Frostbite, right there. Big thing I want to show you. I'm pretty impressed with myself. I'm going to flip you around here. Kaboom! That's where we sprayed. Right over there is where the blind's going. Okay? There's me. Right there. Hi. But look at this. The glyphosate worked. The Roundup worked. Thank you, Roundup. And it even killed some multiflora rose. I hate that stuff. I can tell you right now, I don't know if you're religious or not, but that stuff right there did not exist in the Garden of Eden. I want to tell you right there. Man. But maybe someday it won't exist in the Kingdom of Bunjie either. And you can see there's still some living stuff in here. Still some grasses. Those grasses are tough. They're not as tough as they think they are. We're going to go through here and clean those up, spray them again. Here's a spot I apparently missed entirely. Look how green this is. That looks like I planted something. We're not going to hurt the milkweed, right? That's milkweed. So we'll go around that. Leave a little patch there maybe. And I didn't spray it. Still alive. It didn't even dent this plant. It's like, oh, yeah. Thanks for the drink. That's all it says. You know, it's fine. It doesn't mind at all. Apparently I missed this completely. Did a good job on this goldenrod and all that stuff. That stuff died nice. So we're doing pretty good on that. The grasses here look like they got a good taste. And then our milkweed is still good. This little patch here, I won't hit it. You can see it's starting to bend over from the weight of the seed pods. Oh man, haven't seen that stuff since I was a little kid. I love that. I think that's the greatest thing ever. So the nice thing about a small property, you can micromanage some of this stuff, right? I thought I had sprayed down in there better than that, and apparently I did not. Maybe I was thinking it was too far away. But you can see in here, this sprayed nice, real nice. And again, the autumn olive didn't even touch it. Didn't even blink with the glyphosate. Now, there is another solution for that, right? 2 solutions. You can spray it with another kind of stuff. I'll flash it on the screen. I'm not real good on all these different names, but I do use some stuff. And I got another video coming on these other products that I use. But if you look up in there, we're doing pretty good because that's where our blind's going, okay? So this will be the whole food plot. It'll start up in here. This area right here will be a nice, decent-sized plot. We'll go through here. The deer can travel through here around. If they can get around these milkweeds, we'll get them around the milkweeds. Deer travel through here, and then they can feed out in there a little bit too, right? We'll have the plot out in here. That's our plot. That's going to be awesome. For that pesky multiflora rose, I have a tool. Now you can spray it for large removal of autumn olive. You're going to want to use the tool like a spray or something, right? Go through and do that. Same thing for the multiflora rose, but on a small scale with this little food plot, to take that stuff out of there, I brought with me the perfect tool for the job. Are you ready? It is a adze, right? So what this is, it's not a hoe. It's not a hoe. The difference between a hoe and an adze is that the adze has a curved handle, so that when you swing it, it gets a little bit more of an angle coming back at you. It's like an axe that's turned sideways and is gonna whack right up under those roots and dig them out. So I'll go through here. I'm gonna adze it up in here. My father used to talk about the adze all the time. Tell me what a great tool it was. We never had one growing up, but he had one when he was growing up. So he knew of them and used them and knew their value and told me about them, all that sort of thing. But we never had one personally here. You know, I didn't grow up using one. Don Mealy, if you ever watch his food plot videos, he uses an adze to go through and take care of weeds in his food plots. And man, I'm telling you, Don Mealy's a really interesting character. 2 swings of the adze. And look at that. Got the roots right out of there. I chopped them right off. So now this is all, pick it right up, throw that off of the plot into the weeds. But look at the soil. That's encouraging. Lots of moisture. We've had a dry summer. Lots of moisture under that soil. Once those roots get down in there for our food plot, the seed should go just great. You can see why I like this as a morning spot. There's the sun coming up in the east. The blind location tucked back in these trees, looking down the hill at what will be the food plot, starting right here and all this dead stuff. Food plot will go out across here and weave out over in there through those branches, through those autumn olive, that grove of autumn olive. But that'll be a nice little food plot. I'm going to leave that autumn olive right in the middle of the frame. I'm going to leave that guy to create a little bit more structure, make the deer a little bit even more comfortable here while they're feeding and stuff. These dead trees, I'm going to knock them back with an axe or something. Do that next weekend maybe. And just, you know, throw the branches out of the way, whatever. But kind of leave some of that stuff. The only question I have now, where am I going to put the Tactacam? And I got one Tactacam in the blind with me, right? One on the crossbow. One Tactacam, one camera in the blind with me, whether it's a cell phone or whatever else. That's on a tripod separate. I like that setup. It's just a good setup that works. And then a third camera angle that I always use when I hunt is the Tactacam on a clamp hanging up somewhere. Now, I'm thinking maybe I could get away with, and I don't think I'm going to try this. You could get away with trying to put the camera on that dead tree right down there. This guy right here, not this scrawny thing. I mean, you could put it there, but it'll probably tip over. That one there has enough branches where I could put a tree on that probably, or camera on that tree. The problem is, and that'd be a nice angle shooting out through there, but the problem is, man, I'm telling you, the deer here, when they see a camera, they know that that's out of place. They know that something's hanging where it's not supposed to be hanging. So I don't really like to have them too close to the blind where I'm hunting in a blind. I don't like to have them too close to that, because that's one problem, right? If you got them too close to the blind. The other problem is if they are too close, because then the deer are always looking at the blind, but then they see the camera. And when they see the blind and the camera, they don't like to tolerate both of those things. I wrote about this in my book, The Death by Bunjie Crossbow Method. Deer will oftentimes tolerate one thing, but they won't tolerate two. They're not going to do it. It's pretty funny. And it's just a series of observations I've made over the years. But check out that book if you haven't checked it out already. Pretty good book, man. It's a good read, I think. I'm a little biased, of course. But nonetheless, a blind here, they're going to come in, they're going to know that blind's out of place. They're going to kind of be looking there already. If the camera's right there with it, it just draws their eye to the camera. On the other hand, maybe I can cultivate a good spot over in here, right, for a camera, for the Tactacam to look out through here. There is a smaller, we'll have to see what it looks like in the fall, but if you look over here, somewhere over here, there's a little autumn olive sticking up. I can't quite see on the screen, but there's an autumn olive over there. And if that one is suitable, I could put a camera in that autumn olive and we'll see what that looks like, right? You put that in there and that will pick up everything on this food plot as they're coming in here and make sure I get that second shot angle that I like to have. The more data, the better. Makes a better video for you as a viewer and me as a viewer. It also gives me a lot more information upon which to base future decisions, like whether to track right away or not. That's all stuff that I talk about in my book too. Back to food plottery. Here is the elderberry that we saw in last week's Food Plot Friday. And if you look here, the cage, without that cage, man, I'll adjust that cage a little bit, but the deer would have eaten this whole thing. There wouldn't be an elderberry plant. It's amazing they exist in nature, to be honest with you. But you can look over there, that elderberry, another elderberry. Across here, a couple that didn't make it, and those cages can be pulled out and recycled for use somewhere else to plant something else. But they are a beautiful flowering bush, and they start to grow. And you can see there's a bee up there. Yeah, there's a bee enjoying it right now. I don't know if you can see them. But there's also little berries coming. Can't beat that stuff, huh? Ask Mr. B. He sure thinks it's great. Or he wouldn't be here, right? Look at this guy in here. Stealing my nectar. That's what he's doing. I took on the obligation to help these plants out when I planted them. So I am stuck doing this whether I like it or not. But this guy grew up through the cage. That's an easy fix. I'm going to grab those cages right there. And I'm going to bring them over here. And I'm going to expand the size of these cages. Make it twice as big. And use those cages to make this cage bigger. I have other cages around here to do that. The problem with it, oh, there's a fourth one over there. Look at that. I forgot about that, dude. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 elderberries. That's pretty sweet, man. This is like a little grove of elderberry. There are like 3 or 4 different kinds too. And that last one is so small, it's not able to grow, probably because of the shade it gets in the morning from that autumn olive, and the shade it gets in the in the evening from that autumn olive and from those trees. So what I'm going to do, I will cut that or kill it, spray it or something next week. We'll do that. We'll spray that dude to give him more light. I don't need that one there because I'm not worried about I only like the autumn olive for the screening and the deer bedding and cover and that sort of thing. You know, I'd rather have elderberry here than autumn olive. So I will get rid of that dude. That's an invasive, and that's one of the problems, man. It takes over, goes 15 feet, 20 feet tall, and just becomes big and shrubby. There's berries that the birds eat. That's great. So it does serve some purpose in nature, but too much of a good thing, too much of a bad thing in this case. But see, we got a decent crop of elderberry if I get rid of that shade tree. My camera tipped over. I bet we don't have too much of a good collection of trail camera pictures.
Stand hugger. That's what I was born to be. I'm a tree stand hugger. I like my own company.
Way better. Look at that, way better. The ads proved useful to drive the rebar in a little deeper too. Well, the problem was the rebar was slipping in these little staples I had in here. So I just pounded it in. Should stand up now, stand up to any kind of weather. You name it, get some good pictures. Getting ready to use these guys to prune some apple trees, do a little bit of pruning work. Before I do that, I clean them with a Lysol disinfecting wipe to get rid of any bacteria or other little things that can hurt my precious trees. This one really doesn't need much for pruning. It's really just about a perfect tree. Yeah, you could take a little bit off, like where that apple is, I could take the rest of that off. That's really the idea behind this August pruning. The trees go a little bit dormant, but you're really not changing the shape of the tree other than just providing more nutrition for the existing apples. Man, this tree is a beautiful producer. Look at this. And it's surviving. Like the bugs didn't even get to it this year. I mean, the apples, they have a lot of plum curculio. That's a problem. You can spray to get rid of that stuff. You know, that's what your spring spraying is for, of your oils and whatnot. But really, as far as a producer is concerned, this is a sweet tree. Now, it will still get a wrapper in the winter. We're going to put a wrapper on there to protect it from the rabbits, because that's what killed all those other trees. They all got ringed by rabbits. So if you saw that in the video last week, that is not something that is going to be an ongoing problem in the kingdom of Bunjie. It is not. No. I'm going to put wrappers right around that, little white wrapper, right up it. And this way, the bucks won't rub it. Once the velvet comes off, this can come off when they get hard-horned, when the antlers are all hard-horned for those deers. We'll take that off of there so the bucks won't rub these trees. They'd love to rub the apples. Here's what's neat about this. It's been here a long time, and I always pruned it back, kept it small, right? Kept cutting it back. What that's done is look at the size of the trunk on that. It's a pretty good sized trunk for a tree of that age. And I'm betting the roots on this bad boy, if you went down in here, these roots are really, really, really developed because I kept cutting the foliage back year after year after year. I'll put the age on. I'll actually look it up and put the age on here. But I'm betting this thing is 8 years old at least. And it's only about 10 feet tall. And look how many apples it has. This is probably the best job I did with any apple tree. I'm quite proud of this one, you know. This one turned out pretty good. We'll get rid of some of this dead stuff down the bottom, clean it up a little bit. And then this dude over here, look at him. This is a gorgeous tree, this Cortland, and an early season dropper. But this one is different. The difference with this tree is, look how many of those branches, a lot of new growth up top. This one gets all the morning sun, and it gets all the evening sun too, because the sun sets over there. So it gets all the sun all day long, and it just loves it. We're going to go through with a long pruner though and cut back a lot of this guy. It does not need to be 18 feet tall or whatever it is, 20 feet tall. It doesn't need to be that tall. There's not apples up there, right? So we're going to lop a lot of that stuff off, prune it right back. That's new growth for the last couple of years. And we're going to prune that right back, make it smaller, let it continue to invest in roots, let it continue to invest next year in fruit. And we'll have early season apples on this dude. Then, this is what I was trying to explain last week, and I don't think I explained it real well. My plan with this orchard, okay? I'm going to walk down here. You guys bear with me. You're going to like this, right? You're at the end of this explanation, you're going to say, man, Rich had a great idea. That's a really good idea. And I'm pretty impressed with myself, and it's almost working. So this is long-term food plottery, okay? And hopefully the sun isn't going to be too bad. But I'm down here where that blind's going to be, and behind me, the trees where I would put a tree stand, right? My thinking was 20 yards from the trees where I was going to put the tree stand, off to my right is this early season producer. Drops apples in September, right? Starts dropping them in September. But I can't hunt in September. But it gets the deer coming in here, gets them used to this nice, safe, secluded area with apples in September. The plan was, now that guy's died, but that's a September and that's a September. We'd have 2 trees producing September apples. Now we move over here, we got late September, early October. Late September, early October droppers, right? That's when these apples will drop. That means these deer are now comfortable in here, and the season is starting up, and I'm sitting here behind the camera looking at these trees. They're kind of in front of me. The deer that I want to shoot are in front of me. As the season progresses, now we need to fill in that gap because I can see the house up there. That's not good. But as the season progresses, that tree right there is a November dropper. I'm swinging to my left as the season progresses, and as a right-handed crossbow hunter, that shot to my left is way better. That's the shot we want as crossbow hunters if you're right-handed. If you're left-handed, you would build your orchard, design your orchard the opposite, and plant your trees in the opposite direction, right? You would plant them so that you're swinging to the right if you're left-handed. So that's pretty cool. And it's kind of worked out. Like we've got an early season dropper, and then we got this beautiful dude, which I think was not a Granny Smith, those didn't live, but I think this was this the Empire? Maybe. Anyway, but we got this dude growing, dropping a ton of apples, probably at the end of September, right as the season opens up. I might be able to pitch a blind down there and shoot a deer here. I'm like so pumped about that. All I'm going to do is prune these. What I've decided to do with the plot, I'm just going to spray it again. I'm going to spray the spots I missed. Next week I'll come back, that whole thing's going to be brown, and it is going to be perfect for seeds. So I'll spread lime today. Then I'm going to go through and spray it before I leave. Spray anything I missed. The lime, I'll get pelletized lime on there. Should have done that a month ago. But by the end of the growing season, I think that lime will be in the soil enough that it'll start to amend the soil a little bit. So that last push of growth right before the hunting seasons, that stuff that I'm planting will have a little bit of a soil amendment with the lime. Should help. So I'm going to go through there and I'll spray it again today. Next week I come back, that thing's dead. It gets the sickle, right? Gets the sickle, and then I'm going to put the seed down and be done with it, really. Seed and fertilizer next week. Pitch all the grass back on top of it to provide a little bit of protection for the seed. Hold the moisture in there. It's going to be banner. It's going to be food plottery at its finest. Bringing out the big gun now. This little lopper right here, that's pretty slick. Nice and sharp. And in my experience, if I can get that on those taller branches that I can't reach from the ground, it'll just snip them right off. Clean them right up. Oh yeah. I'm tired. That long one sure works your shoulders, man. But look at these trees. They look pretty nice. This is all autumn olive I chopped off and let it lay. It will reduce the... Can't let that stuff take up all the moisture in the soil and nutrients. When I got apples, you got to protect the apples. Deer love apples. So does Richie. This poor tree, not going to cut it. But nonetheless, look at this dude. Look how much better he looks, huh? That looks like an apple tree right there. Before I thought it was a maple, something other than a gorgeous apple tree. Look at it now. Wow. The apple right there. There's only about 5 apples on this tree. But man, does it look happy? Doesn't that look like a happier apple? If I was an apple, I would be happy if I lived there. What a gorgeous picture. But man, I'm much happier with that. Now, winter pruning really is the time that you shape the tree. I will be back in the winter to shape this tree. Maybe do some videos on that too, right? But right now, we got to get back to food plottery. But man, doesn't that tree look better? It doesn't need to be 20 feet tall, right? Straight up and down branches don't grow apples. They're called trunks. What you want is nice angled branches like that to hold those apples. And you want to open it up a little bit to let the sunlight in. Oh yeah. Pelletized lime. Great for lawns, gardens, and farms, and hopefully food plots also. You can spread this with a seed spreader if you want. Open it right up to setting number 5. Or you can use an old coffee can or something like this. Just fill it up, go around, throw it out. Broadcast by hand. And you can tell who's been spreading lime. Must be just about done. I hope you enjoyed this Food Plot Friday. Fruit Tree Friday, perhaps, huh? Hope you enjoyed that video. I hope you're enjoying your Crossbow Appreciation Month. And until next time, all hail Bunjie.